In the kingdom of winds where sand writes endless verses, I found my voice not in what I spoke, but in the silence I offered to the dunes. Long before love came to claim my restless heart, the desert had taught me to listen, to wait. There, beneath skies so wide they swallowed my ambition, I unlearned the language of pride. For every grain of sand held a secret, every star a promise waiting to be kept. And in that patient expanse my spirit softened, no longer chasing shadows of legacy, but longing instead for what could not be seized, the gentle surrender of my soul. The falcons flew above, wings slicing dawn, and I envied their freedom, until I learned the bravest flight is the one that returns home. And my home was not stone or crown, but a heartbeat that called mine back from the horizon. I wrote of love before I understood it, verses of longing born from moonlit dunes, words that trembled like wind over ancient ruins. Yet all those poems were only preludes. For true verse began the moment I chose stillness. The world remembers poets for their words, but my truest lines are written in acts unseen, the promise kept when no one watched, the vow made in silence stronger than 1,000 proclamations. In the hush before dawn, I found the courage to trade applause for a single, unwavering devotion. For you, I offered the only gift worth giving, not gold, nor silk, nor the echo of my name through courts, but the quiet surrender of a heart once untamed, a heart that could have flown beyond every horizon, yet chose to stay by your side. They do not know the cost of that choice, how desire for glory battled love each night, or how the dunes witnessed my struggle, a prince unlearning to conquer, learning instead to belong. Yet in your gaze the battle ended, and peace, sweeter than triumph, took its place. In this peace, I discovered poetry deeper than rhyme, a single breath shared at dawn, a glance that spoke what words could not contain, a love so steady it made kingdoms seem small. For what is rule, if not for love? And what is love, if not the courage to be gentle? I see now that my journey was never toward thrones, but toward your heart, hidden beyond the reach of conquest, a realm where crowns mean nothing, where the only tribute is truth, and the only victory is staying when it would be easier to run. At night I walk the dunes, leaving footprints that morning winds will claim. Yet I do not mind, for I have left something greater behind, the memory of a man who chose love over legend. And in your memory, my footprints remain, untouched by time or shifting sands. Some call it folly to give up the world for one, but they do not hear the music silence can hold, nor see how love can turn emptiness into fullness, or how a single heart can become an entire kingdom. For you, I became the poet I was meant to be, not one who wrote to be praised, but one who wrote to be true, true to the quiet dawn, the endless dunes, and most of all, true to you. Even now, when I stand before crowds, and words come easily as rain in spring, I remember the greater strength, the strength it took to stand before you, unarmed by pride, crowned only by sincerity. They see the robes, the jewels, the ceremonial grace, but they do not see the boy who walked barefoot on hot sands, learning that love's worth is measured not by what we gain, but by what we are willing to set aside. And I set aside the world, its roar and its praise, to hold your hand at dusk. In that touch, I found eternity, not the eternity sought by emperors and poets, but the quiet kind built of shared moments. A wordless sunrise, a laugh shared at twilight, the warmth of your presence in the coldest dawn, and when night falls over the dunes, and stars write their own poetry across the sky. I know no verse I could speak aloud would match the vow I made in silence, to love you beyond the reach of time, beyond the fall of kingdoms, beyond even the memory of my name. The desert keeps secrets well. It guards my whispered promises, and in return, it teaches me humility, that love's truest proof is not in what we declare, but in what we live quietly each day. For you, I turn my back on wandering, not because the road had no more wonders, but because your love was the greatest wonder of all. The falcon still soars within me, but its flight now circles one horizon, the place where your heart meets mine. And when I falter, as all hearts do, I remember the dunes at dawn, their patience, their quiet strength, and I find my way back to you. For love, real love, is not the absence of weakness, but the choice to return again and again to what matters most. The desert sings this truth in windswept verses, and though its words vanish at sunrise, they live on in the way I look at you, with gratitude, with tenderness, with the vow renewed each dawn, that for you I gave my silence to the desert, and in silence found the truest song. Let the world speak of power and conquest, of thrones won and lost. I speak of a different kind of triumph, the victory of a restless heart that chose to be still, not for all, but for one. And if someday my name fades into legend, if my words are all that remain, let them carry this above all else. That once, in the vastness of the desert, a man laid aside his crown, and in doing so, found something greater than rule, the unshakable peace of loving truly. This is my legacy, not palaces, not poems etched in stone, but the living verse of a life reshaped by love, a love quiet yet unbreakable, bound not by duty but by choice. So hear me now, though the wind may steal my voice. For you, I stopped chasing what could never satisfy, and stood instead where love asked me to stay, and in that stillness found the deepest freedom, to love completely and without regret. If tomorrow brings new dawns, new battles, know that my heart will remain unchanged. For in giving my silence to the desert, I kept my promise to you, that for you, and only you, I became not just a poet, but a man worth loving. And when words are gone, and only memory remains, let's speak of this, that in a world of fleeting passions, ours endured, quiet yet eternal. For the truest poems are lived, not spoken. In my life, every quiet dawn, every unseen vow, is my longest, deepest poem to you.